Welcome back, True Seeker. December 27th, 2018. Just as I finished doing the live stream on what's curious about the supposed transformer explosion in New York City that turned the sky blue, late here, just after 11 p.m. on the West Coast in Washington State, where I live, all of us on our cell phones got a long vibration. And then we got a message that said emergency alert, 911 outage in Washington State. Call local police in case of emergency. And if you saw the live stream I just did on the explosion in New York, I talked about how no doubt this is military experimentation being blamed on a transformer. When transformers explode, night skies don't turn blue. Transformers explode every day in the world, and this doesn't happen. So this is another mocking of our existence, another lie. And what I brought up in the video is I said, don't forget New York, it's a city that's been experimented with before by the numbers. 911, September 11th in Manhattan. And think about the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project to develop atomic and nuclear weapons. And where did the Manhattan Project actually start in? It started in Washington State at Hanford. So I don't think this is any coincidence. This big New York thing and then a 911 outage in Washington. Again, let me put this together for you. The Manhattan Project, the development for atomic and nuclear energy began in Washington State at Hanford. And then, after decades of research, which expanded beyond just Washington State, that decades of research included detonating atomic and nuclear bombs throughout the world. And where they had those detonations, they called it ground zero. Ground zero. That was the definition for where a nuclear or atomic bomb was detonated below or above ground. And then that was the name they gave to the site in Manhattan when the World Trade Centers were turned to dust. Something that took an awful lot of energy. So anyway, this is where Gematria comes in to really connect the dots. Again, this went down on December 27th. And December 27th is a date with numerology of 39. 12 plus 27 is 39. And the most pure cipher in Gematria, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, New York equals 39. If you write Hanford, it equals 39. If you write atomic bomb, it equals 39. The Manhattan Project, New York, Hanford, all comes together. And again, 39 is a really big number in New York. NY equals 39 with the alphabetic order. NYC equals 39 with the reverse alphabetic order. New York's known as the Empire State, 39. The word York is 39 with the reverse alphabetic order. New York, comma, NY on an envelope again is 39. And it's not just the words and numbers. It's the architecture, it's the history. New York was established July 26, 1788, a date with 39 numerology. The United Nations there is 39 floors tall. It was just pointed out to me that the major United Nations meeting in New York every single year is in the 39th week. In the building that's 39 stories tall, the World's Fair was in New York in 39. Again, long history of 39 in New York. The first governor, George Clinton, born in 1739 on July 26th, the same day New York was established. George is 39, Clinton's 39. So anyway, 39 is a very important number to the you-know-whos. Comes from the 39 books in the Old Testament, which is the same place this code of letters and numbers comes from. Same place, the laws of this nation come from. These are rituals. These aren't accidents. Washington and New York have a lot of history together. The construction firm that built the World Trade Centers is also from Washington State. And again, you get this explosion in New York blamed on a transformer, and then you get a 911 outage in Washington State. And in case you missed my work on November 11th, you really should go back and watch it. November 11th. In case you missed what happened on November 11th, 2018, let me remind you. George W. Bush got a medal put around his neck on 11/11. Once upon a time, 11/11 was September 11th. It was the 9th month, the 11th day. Once upon a time, when we were on the Julian calendar, before we converted to the nonsensical Gregorian calendar, which pushed us 2 months ahead. And on that same day that George W. Bush got the medal around his neck, there was a massive fire in Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington, home of Magnuson Klemenkic Associates, the construction firm that built the World Trade Centers. Also that day, Douglas Rain died. Douglas Rain. If you don't know who that is, that's the voice from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And why does that matter? I want to show you what the name Douglas Rain equals in Gematria. You're going to see that it equals 68. Douglas Rain, 68. In 1968, World Trade Center construction began. 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, a man who has a birthday of July 6th, a span of 68 days from September 11th. 2001: A Space Odyssey came out. The New York Jets won their only Super Bowl, all rigged and part of the sick joke of what would happen 33 years later with New York Jets ramming into the World Trade Centers. There were a number of other things that also happened on this November 11th. At a concert at Madison Square Garden, Joe Perry of Aerosmith collapsed at age 68. They ran the final episode of Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown in New York City, a man from New York. That was on CNN, the news station that broke the images of the plane flying into the World Trade Center. Prior to CNN, people thought it was bombs, which it probably was. There were a few other things that happened on November 11th. I have a longer video on it. Check it out. But it connected Washington and New York State once again, just like today connects Washington and New York. And if you missed the video I put out before this just happened in Washington State, I was already talking about this. And it's just something else. I know this is not an accident. Again, we are being mocked by a code. And this all became very clear to me on September 11th, 2001, when we had a national emergency on 911 and two buildings that looked like massive 11s in the 11th state came crashing down on the 11th day of the month after flight AA11 supposedly let it off. And 11's the master number in numerology. And the World Trade Centers were 110 stories tall, 110. So anyway, numerology is the code of the elite. If you doubt that, go listen to Christine Lagarde, the leader of the IMF, give her numerology speeches. Or go read my book, you know. You'll learn a lot, no doubt about it. So anyway, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. The book's linked in the description. Until next time.